What is up, everyone? I'm Skratch. Welcome to the channel. This is another Raid Shadow Legends video, and today, guys, we're not alone. We actually have Ash on the channel. What's up, Ash? How you doing, bro?
Yo, Skratch AK-47. What's up, bro? How you doing?
Yeah, doing pretty good. Looking forward to talk a bit about the new event dungeon boss. And let me just quickly ask you: are you prepared to farm some Pinpoint? Do you like the Pinpoint set?
You're going? Yeah, man.
Yeah?
I was actually one of the few things I didn't do wrong in this game, and I invested heavily in the first Odin dungeon, and I plan to do it again because I'm still finding myself, especially the actual artifacts, really in need of I'm mulling around my sets too much. You know, it's costing me a lot of silver. What about you?
I'm pretty much in the same boat. I need better artifacts because we were getting a lot of accessories right last time.
Yeah, which is great, but it's like, okay, the artifacts are just so, given all the sets that we can get, right? It's not very dependable. And then I was able to get like maybe, I don't know, maybe like 5 or so like really good pieces, and those pieces are just like handed around every day on the old account,
Pretty much in the same boat, so I save tons of energy to basically go ham on the dungeon when it comes out.
Yeah.
But guys,
How do you feel about them bringing back Pinpoint in terms of some people were like, that's like lazy. It's the same set as last time. They're expecting a new 9-piece. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I think it's good that they're not bringing another 9-piece set because the power creep would be just too crazy. So people, don't get local. We don't want to get too many new 9-piece sets because the power creep will get crazy and you're just not going to be able to farm enough pieces to actually make good sets. And you're going to be stuck in this limbo where you're constantly farming for a new set, and you never have enough good pieces from that one set. So that's something that we don't want to see. So hopefully they're just going to keep pinpointing this dungeon for the next couple of years or so, and then maybe introduce a new set in addition to Pinpoint. But I don't think they should change it, in my opinion.
I don't know if a couple of years, but no, I agree with everything that you said, though. I agree. And as an added, weight to that argument is like Pinpoint so good. And to your point earlier, we need to farm more anyway. Like almost every player, I'm sure, needs to farm more. So I'm totally happy with it. In addition to the power creep, because if they add another broken 9-piece set, it would be a mess. I feel like,
too hardcore. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right.
So I'm currently on the test server, guys. That's why we have access to the dungeon. We can see everything, what basically on the screen here. I'm not sure when this video will drop. It might drop on the same day with the update or something like that because I'll be away. But I'm gonna quickly walk all of you guys through the skills. So this is the Queen of Hearts, which will be the boss, right? Coming in with Alice and the rest. Is a pretty nasty champion. It will be Void Affinity. Attacks all enemies with A1, places a defense down on your team and fills the thermometer of all allies. With the A2, removes all of your buffs and then places a dead brand on the initial target and a true fear on all enemies and fills the thermometer of this champion for each buff removed. 5% for each buff. So that can be crazy. Then with the A3, teams up with all allies to attack a single enemy, and before that places an increased attack and decreases the cooldown of the champion's A2 if the target is being killed. Now, the dead brand debuff puts block revive on your champion, so you want to avoid dying basically. And the passive is nasty because for every 10 buffs the enemy team receives, grants the champion an extra turn, an instant turn basically, and that can be bad. So if you start the run with the Sifi, the boss will instantly take a turn and try to strip all of your buffs or use the ally attack or do something crazy, right? And the boss will basically be immune to all crowd control, increase the cooldown of skills, etc. The enemy max HP damage is 10%, you know the drill, but the boss is immune to decreased speed and to thermometer reduction effects, which is pretty nasty. Now, of course, if you have blessings on your champions, you can deal additional damage, take less damage from the boss. The waves are nasty too because we have Kaja the Rai, which is around 300 plus speed. I haven't really dived too much into the dungeon, but she's very fast. Then you have Timo the Fool, which again cans 3 buffs. You have Venus and Cupidus, which again they can 3 buffs. If you hit them, Cupidus counterattacks, so that's gonna be pretty annoying. There's a lot of stuff going on in the run, so I feel like we should basically talk in this video about what sort of champions you need, and we're gonna give you guys a few examples of what champions you should use in your team to be able to tackle the boss, either on the highest stage, on some of the lower stages. Of course, the waves will basically change as last time. So we're going to have, I feel like every 5 stages, we're going to have new waves or something like that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It seems like they're stepping things up maybe a little level from last event dungeon, you know?
Mm,
It seemed especially with both of the champions, Kaja and Timid and Venus and Cupidus. I think they're both in the conversation of having the strongest like synergy, meaning that they get a lot better when they're together in terms of what they do.
mm.
So it'll be very interesting. Like Timid alone with the true fears and the passive and the instant activations and the buff removal and like there's a lot going on there, especially with Kaja on the same team. So, and the same thing with Venus and Cupid is like him counterattacking all the time, Venus removing buffs with Timid removing buffs. Like, there's a lot going on there, you know?
Yeah, so you definitely want to crowd control them. I feel like,
Yeah.
especially, let's just say if you're a Kraken, yes, you're gonna go double newt, triple newt. You're gonna do the same thing you've done last time, or a 6-star crushing run, Siegfried, Son Wukong, and basically quick speed farm this dungeon. But that's not the case for the majority of the players, and I feel like the majority of the players will definitely need to have some form of a crowd control champion in here that will be able to instantly stun or instantly freeze the ads, the waves, right? Because if they take a turn, they're pretty dangerous. Then if the boss will remove your buffs and all that stuff, let's just say it's not really the end of the world because she's not gonna cleanse all of the champions that are on the waves, but you want to crowd control. So I feel like that's one of the most important things. And I feel like if we are gonna have a look at the teams of the week, because that's something that I actually haven't really checked much yet, but again, you have crowd control champions, you have Armands, you have Odin, you have what other champions that crowd controlling here? We have let's see, we have quite a few different ones. Seer can be a good example as well because she sleeps and deals damage at the same time.
Yeah,
So I feel like that's going to be one of the most important things, right?
for sure. For sure.
What do you think about like using protected buffs and stuff? You know, because I know we were talking a bit about it before.
Yeah. So are we done with the crowd control portion yet? Or are we still
Yeah, yeah.
are we still going?
I think we're done
All
with
right.
the crowd control
Okay, well, I got
portion.
a few epic shots real quick. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I think, what do you think about, well, first of all, Umbral, good old Umbral Enchantress, because the 2-turn provoke. I feel like you could use her in the block buffs. I feel like you could use Basher for, he has a block buffs and he's got the cooldown, whatever,
Mm.
on the H2 Stinging Blast, and he's Void Affinity, so that helps. And then Cryode in the blue. You play around with Cryode in a little Scratch.
Yeah, I actually use him. Yeah, so he's a pretty awesome one. Yeah.
He's pretty good because he brings the increased speed and stuff. But like protection, but going on to your question though, protected buffs, I feel like it's a strong mitigator, right? And
Mm.
of course, if you have like Alterian, is that his name? Like
Alatrian, yeah,
that's gonna
Alatrian. He's gonna be awesome. Yeah.
he's going to be your guy, right? Similar to how he is against almost every buff. So we have the protected increased defense, the protected shield, most importantly, the protected block debuffs as well. Just going to be awesome with the cleanse. So he's going to be like your holy grail type champion, but most players don't have him. So I love the idea of having, you know, if you can, a 9-piece protection on your buffers, right? I mean, that's going to be an easy way around this that will prevent all of these champions from manipulating the Queen of Hearts included, right? And Venus and everybody else, because everybody on the squad that you're facing here, almost everybody has some sort of buff removal. So it's going to be a pain to have buffs, but when you do have them, you want to keep them on at the same time because you don't want to power up Queen of Hearts too much.
Yeah, so just to quickly get back a bit
On that passive.
at the crowd control part, I feel like provoke and lockout won't be as good, just for the simple fact that if the boss will get to use the ally attack, the champions will still move on the waves, right? And most
On the
likely,
A1s, yeah, true.
most likely
true.
kill somebody in your team, you know. So I think you kind of like want to dodge that. But I know we were talking a bit before about the Christmas champions, right? And you were talking about using Sir Nicholas together with Lady Noel as a combo and have them with protection and stuff, because Lady Noel already brings the freeze. She brings an amazing revive as well, plus she brings the increased speed, which is really, really nice. And then you have Sir Nicholas, which comes in play directly with the unkillable buff, comes with the shield, more healing, freeze on the A1. So this is definitely a pretty awesome idea, as using this duo versus them if you can.
Yeah, Lady Noel, man. I mean, God, that A3 is just insane.
I love it, honestly. Like, she's amazing.
It's so cool. It's so cool to, I mean, even in the arena, it's so cool to like land AoE freeze on a 3-turn cooldown against like a Sifi and a Duchess or whomever with the block debuffs up. It's just so powerful. You can get back to it so fast, you know? And obviously it can't be resisted if Sir Nick's on the same team, which is insane. And then the activation of the unkillable could be helpful, especially if you can squeeze Sir Nick into protection.
Yeah.
So there's some synergies you could definitely explore there, especially if you have both those champions.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like block damage, 9-piece protection champion, this combo right here is gonna work pretty good for people struggling to really smash the dungeon, right? Because not everybody's gonna be able to absolutely demolish the boss, and I feel like people that are trying to get to higher stages to actually farm pinpoint gear will benefit a lot from using this type of strats instead, you know?
I agree. And then, I mean, it's not perfect. We talked a little bit off air about like Hoska rule
Yeah.
and Archmage helmet. It's not perfect because on auto runs, you're not going to be, it's some RNG there. There's 75% stuns, but there's still some of the better stunners if you don't have like the Armands and the legendary options.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. The main thing is you kind of like want to dodge at having too much RNG in a team anyway, because you don't want to waste energy, but these are the best options that we have in terms of...
You want to be auto farming this stage for sure. So or this dungeon.
Farm the better ones, yeah. So before we move into damage dealers, let's quickly talk a bit about support champions. So we know the boss will basically bring in fear. They're going to land a lot of debuffs on us, right? Especially if we're not going to have crowd control to deal with them. So I feel like some amazing characters that would really help us in there, of course. We talked about Elatrian already, but talking about an epic from the same faction, Doom Priest, again, it will be really nice to have her in the team with a passive. It can be pretty helpful, especially to deal with the fear. If you don't have Inquisitor Shamael, which again is going to be massive because of his passive and the way he interacts with the fear debuff, right? I feel like he's gonna be great to next to Doom Priest. Of course, you have to Hanorak as a legendary, but for whoever doesn't know about Inquisitor Shamael, guys, is Mr. Drake right here, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's how we call him. But yeah, I feel like cleansers will play an important role. But then again, we need to keep in mind that if the boss removes the immunity and our champions are not in 9-piece protection or whatever to protect as many buffs as possible, we're going to have issues with that as well. Like Freya, she's a good cleanser too, right? Or any other cleanser in the game, basically. But we need to keep that in mind as well, because the boss will get Thermiter, can take an instant turn if we put too many buffs at the same time, and that can be pretty dangerous. But I feel like in some cases, revivers will be pretty important too.
Yeah, no, I agree. A few other call outs is if I don't have her, but if you're lucky enough to have her, Maud would be amazing. Because she's got the little Tuwana Rock type cleanse on the passive there, and she's a reviver, obviously, with the buff, manipulation and whatnot, and debuff manipulation. So she'd be great. Also, like an epic consideration here. It's definitely someone that we don't talk about a lot, and it wouldn't be like my top tier choice, but Battle Sage. High Elf Epic, Void Affinity. She brings an increased attack with a full cleanse on a 3-turn cooldown, and the increased attack is protected. So could see some usage there, especially on accounts that lack some of these powerhouses. She also brings a Revive on Death on a single ally on the A3, which isn't anything crazy, but she has a speed in all battles as well with an AoE on the A1. So you could maybe put her in a stun set or something like that, just to help out with the protected buff and the cleanse. So again, not like my top tier choice, but certainly someone that you could maybe get some use case out of.
Yeah, I think speed auras will be pretty important because I think that Kajadora is around 310 speed or something like that. So it's going to get pretty hard for a lot of people to get to that amount of speed. In some cases, people will use Arbiter, right? Like Arbiter coming in, boosting the Thermiter, give it an increased attack, then revive if you need it and stuff. So I feel like, once again, Arbiter, she will come in play similar as she came in play on the Odin dungeon, right? I feel like, I think you made a video on some of those teams that were using Arbiter as well. So I definitely think that she can be a solid option.
Yeah. Lydia.
Yeah, Lydia, debuffers.
Lydia, you can use anywhere.
Yep, 100%. The one thing with the debuffers, it really depends as well if you're gonna have like crowd control, right? Because if you're not taking in crowd control champions, Cupidus is gonna counterattack whenever you're hitting them. So one Lydia attack to place the debuffs Cupidus will counterattack. I don't think it will kill your champions, but you never know. You never know how hard he's going to hit, right?
It's Cupidus is he's an X factor. We saw the Gloria days, like a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, when it was like Venus and Cupidus, they were like super meta, and they were annoying when they were at their best. So we'll see them again and get reacquainted with them. So I hear you on that. Lydia too, like obviously we know how good she is with her A2 and whatnot. But but likely the Death Hole passive will definitely come in handy, especially with that Cupidus constantly hitting all your champions,
Yeah.
Because they have Kaja.
Yeah, and to dodge the revive. I think Mitrala is going to be really nice because you can build her with high resistance. I'm not sure exactly what resistance we need in there, but I would assume 600-700 resistance or so. So it's much easier to get that amount of resistance on Mitrala. And basically cleanse, get a bit of support from her. She can be pretty nice with the petrification as well. That can be massive to help you with the crowd control. Not the most reliable thing, but hey, if you don't have all of the other options and stuff, she's definitely gonna have to basically make the job work. I feel like Dracomorph is gonna be one of the best debuffers for this dungeon because he doesn't attack, and especially for people that are looking to speed farm this dungeon as well, or to have a bit more control on what's happening on the battlefield right there. Weaken defense down, AoE, no attack is actually nice. I think it's the first time when I'm actually excited for Dracomorph not attacking with that skill.
He doesn't do the damage. Yeah. Everybody else does. Bellinor, Incensa.
Yeah,
Venus.
They all do, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Good call out there on Draco. I was wondering why you had him on your list at first, and I was like, oh yeah, he doesn't attack on that A3.
Yeah, so
a nice free-to-play option for folks out there would be Star Sage Galather.
Yeah, absolutely. Super awesome. I'm still waiting to get... I'm still waiting to get that champion one day, maybe.
I kid, but yeah, he would be a beast, of course.
What do you think about damage dealers? Do you think, again, most likely we're going to have like a couple of different options? I mean, 3 options. One for the Mega Kraken, 6-star Crushing Rend, Siegfried, maybe even Tranda, maybe Wukong. I'm not sure Tranda actually, because she doesn't crit anymore, so maybe that's going to be off the menu. But I feel like, again, enemy max HP and HP burn detonation and stuff, right?
I would say, like, it feels like when in doubt, you go with burns and enemy max HP nowadays, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you said it. I mean, if you have some of those beasts like the Siegfrieds, to your point, then yeah, sure, you're probably gonna roll them. I'm sure it's gonna be like Siegfried, Feral, or something on the top team or something like that. But yeah, for the rest of the players out there, I would probably consider enemy max HP as my first go-to, like another area where you're going to be using your Newts and your Acrisias or whoever you have, Marius's, obviously.
Yeah, Marius is going to be OP here as well with the triple hitter, so he's going to drop in a lot of damage. Yeah.
With the buff reduction, like he'll be one of the goats, I feel like,
And they feeble as well, and if they're trying to mess around with him, he's just gonna counterattack with the A1, which is nice. But yeah, I feel like the dominating teams will be, of course, Marius, Newt, probably a Kymar to reset. Kymar can sleep as well, which is not necessarily a bad form of crowd control as long as you don't have other champions attacking the mobs at the same time. But I feel like it will be pretty similar with last time, to be honest. Enemy max HP burn detonation. You have like Theodore, Gizmak, Artak, which is amazing. He was a free champion too. Brings the decreased attack. The only thing is that this time around, Kaja the right cleanses, right? That's something that they did not have on the previous wave. So that can be really, really annoying. The cleanse, the healing, and even her revive as well can be pretty annoying. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with you. You almost don't want a team that's all predicated on getting a bunch of buffs to get a ton of damage, because then that's when you get the passive kick in of the Queen of Hearts as well. So interesting, but I would go with enemy max HP or burners. Maybe I think Seer will be great too. You mentioned her earlier, but she's going to help with the buff removal, the CC, and the damage. So I think that Seer, just like in the Odin dungeon, I feel like she could be a strong contender for a great DPS.
I'm actually curious how well will Seer work versus the boss, because you need buffs for Seer to do damage, right? So as soon as you put 10 buffs... I just said
it, and you're right. Damn it.
As soon as you put 10 buffs... And look, because I have her on the list as well, right? But I'm just thinking, as soon as you put 10 buffs, the boss will instantly take a turn and remove your buffs. you know?
I know. Yeah, you're right. I guess Seer, you'd have to either time you'd have to time it. No,
Like
you
really
wouldn't.
well, yeah.
You have to time it so well that maybe she's not good. Maybe we take her off the list,
Mm.
you know?
I think
Because
we can.
10 buffs goes by fast.
Oh yeah, you have
You
a
know?
team of 5 champions, 2
Yeah.
buffs each, and that's it. Boom.
2 buffs and you're done. So I guess Seer, I don't know. I'm gonna pull a total 180 here on the fly and say you might not want to run her.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
think it will make the runs pretty dangerous, to be honest.
It's too dangerous. I take that back. Scratch. Take it
I'm
away.
I'm
Take it
taking it
off.
back as well.
Run
Yeah,
it.
I'm taking it
Yeah,
back.
but that's very interesting there because you just don't want. I mean, it's not that you don't want buffs. You just got to be very careful, when you make sure that you really want to use them,
Mm.
and you have to consider the Death Brand passive as well. Your team's all going to be dead permanently. So revivers are somewhat mitigated if you're not careful, On
Yeah,
the Death Brand, it's the initial target. Do you know yet? Have you tested
it will go
how
for the
she's
lead
targeting
usually. Yeah,
the lead?
yeah.
Okay.
So the boss will go for the lead, and that's basically what's gonna happen. Yeah,
So have your lead be super strong.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys,
One
go
other
on.
Inquisitor Shamil, Inquisitor.
Yeah, Inquisitor Shamel can help with the fear. So that's mainly for
Yeah.
teams that are going a bit slower in there, that are not just going with enemy max HP to instantly pinch. So, like, you can use Royal Guard, you can use Husk. All of these champions can be nice. Husk can drop in a stun too, which is pretty helpful next to the damage. I feel like he's gonna be pretty solid for this dungeon. Maybe actually better than Royal Guard, to be honest, because of that
Yeah.
that stun.
Yeah, he has he can hit pretty hard, but you're just using him as a cleanser on that skill too. She removes all buffs from all enemies, aka all your champions. She places the Death Brand on the initial target for 2 turns, and a True Fear on all enemies for 1 turn. At least you've got one of those kind of taken care of with Inquisitor.
Yeah, he's gonna help a lot with that. So if the boss will take turns, I feel like you definitely need either an Inquisitor Shamael, either a Doom Priest, either a
Doom Priest,
Tuhanarak, either a
Tuhanarak, yeah.
Mod, one
Yeah.
of these characters, or a different cleanser, of course. Elatrian
For
being
sure.
another
Mithrala.
option. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mithrala to cleanse as well. She's gonna resist that as well, most likely, so that's
Yeah.
gonna be very helpful. But let us know your thoughts in the comments down below, guys. What teams have you built? I will be dropping a few guides on it. I am actually traveling at the moment, so you might have to wait 1 or 2 days for me to get onto it. But Ash, was a pleasure to have you on the channel.
Safe travels, man.
Thank you. And guys, make sure you head over to Ash's channel. We actually dropped a different video there talking about relics and what mistakes you should avoid, because you definitely want to watch that video. But as usual, appreciate all of you guys watching. Much love, and I'll catch you all in the next one.